book Samael Aunveor recommended most was his Treatise of Revolutionary Psychology. He expressed how important that book is for anyone who wants to liberate themselves from suffering. The first chapter of that book is called Level of Being. Given his emphasis on that book, and given that the entire book depends upon understanding that first chapter, we're going to talk about it. He said that if we really want a radical change, the first thing we must understand is that each one of us is at one level of being or another. Whatever we are internally, psychologically, attracts the various circumstances of our life. Our external circumstances are the result of our internal condition. That is our level of being. We need to understand the word being. The word being is very profound. In this tradition, we talk about our being, our innermost. This is similar to how other traditions, schools, religions, and philosophies use words like God. The problem is that whichever word we use, we associate it with a form. We associate the word God or the word being with some type of form, some type of shape, a personality or character. When people think of God, they think of some human-like deity, maybe a bearded old man. In truth, being has no form. Being is a state of existence. The reality of being is beyond the reach of our mind. Our mind is very narrow, very small, and has very little capacity. And truthfully, it's very disorganized. To understand being, we need to use something other than our intellect, our mind, other than beliefs. We need to use our consciousness, which, simply stated, is awareness. Awareness does not think. It simply perceives and can understand what it perceives. All of us have awareness, but we do not use it wisely. Awareness is directly connected to our inner being. But unfortunately, our awareness has become trapped, conditioned, habituated to thinking, emotions, beliefs, theories, structures, concepts, boxes. To understand being, we need to remove those cages from our awareness. We need to open our awareness to look beyond the limitations that we have adopted. Like concepts and beliefs. Let's say, for example, this concept of God. Anyone can experience the truth about what God is, but people do not because their mind doesn't allow it. We have veils in front of our awareness, filters. We adopt beliefs and ideas and theories to give us a sense of security, to make us feel like we know something, to make us feel like our life is headed somewhere and that some deity in heaven loves us. Our word being, or to be, in English is similar to most of the other languages in the Western Hemisphere. It has a root in an ancient language closely related with Sanskrit. So our word in English, to be, or being, is rooted in the Sanskrit word bu. We're not here to study etymology or to become experts in exotic languages. We're here to learn about ourselves. Yet this Sanskrit word conveys meanings that we don't find in English or in any other modern language. Bu in Sanskrit means to be, and it also implies becoming. It is also the number one. Philosophically speaking, the first thing that exists is beingness, a state of becoming, a state of potential. Asian religions have many words for this. Shunyata, voidness, emptiness, Brahma, Parabrahma, Samantabhadra, Adibuddha, etc. All of them point towards one thing, our essential nature. Being is a simple unity, the number one. Being is totally pure, without any characteristics, except for being. The reason for the being to be is to be the being itself. Being has no name, no time. It doesn't have a beard. It doesn't have a gender. You could call it God if you want, but the name is irrelevant. And the name, unfortunately, brings baggage. That's partly why we like this word boo. It doesn't have cultural baggage, unless you are a Sanskrit scholar. Boo, being, is the ultimate, deepest part of us. We often describe it as the absolute. It is an indescribable aspect of existence. You could say non-existence. It is a state of absolute happiness, complete and utter joy. And if it has a defining characteristic that our mind could grasp, because emptiness is so vague and strange, we would say it's love. Simple, pure, unmodified. An expansive love, a state of happiness. Beingness is so simple, an absolute unity. Our mind cannot understand that simplicity. This illustrates how far we are from our being. We are not at that level of being. Our current condition is very far from our true nature, the reality. We need to study both our inner being and our current level of being. The most profound part of our inner being is a state of unity. At some time in the ancient past, that state of beingness expressed itself. It became something. It became three. That's why every religion has a trinity as its base symbol, three as one. In Buddhism, they call this the Trikaya. Hindus call it Trimurti, three faces or three sides of one thing. Today, we're not going to talk about religious symbols. Our aim is to study ourselves, this level of existence in us. What we need to understand is that for the unity to become something, it has to work with how nature functions. In every level of nature, creation depends on three forces. We call this the law of three. We're using a triangle to represent this, but this triangle is not literal. It is not a triangle in space. This is just a symbol of how the being, unity, expresses as three in order for it to become something more. One way to understand this is to think of this as forces. The urge to become would be the first force. It's projective. We could say masculine, which is why we often use a masculine god as a symbol. A god represents something powerful. As soon as that masculine aspect arises, it immediately evokes its complement, which is feminine, receptive force. You cannot have masculine without feminine. As soon as you talk about one, the other instantly appears. So a projective force immediately brings up a receptive force. And as soon as those two appear, there is also that which joins them, the relationship between projective and receptive, masculine and feminine. There are your three forces: freedom, understanding, and wisdom. Projective, receptive, and equilibrating. We talk about male and female because it's easier for our mind to grasp. But we're not talking about male and female in a literal way here. We're using male and female as a symbol to help us understand the law of three. Our being, our inner unity, which is absolutely divine, pure, and happy, can only create by becoming three in one. That three in one is the first creation, the first manifested region of the being. If we were to liberate our consciousness, such as in meditation, to such a degree that we could experience this level of being, we would experience these qualities: freedom, understanding, and wisdom. These are not intellectual or conceptual qualities. They are capacities or qualities of consciousness. So this level of being related to the law of three is a psychological aspect of a subtle level of nature within us. Very deep, very subtle. We all have it, but we are not conscious of it. Creation occurs by three forces. When the region of three laws creates a new level, that new level is within the region of the first three laws. Therefore, it is subject to the first three laws, as well as its own. This results in a level supported or influenced by 6 laws. The forces are condensing, thickening, crystallizing, forming. If you've studied the 4 worlds of Kabbalah, this is simple for you. For Buddhists, this is also simple, as it is just how Nirmanakaya works. So in this level, we now have 6 laws. We have the 3 that are subtle, and another 3 that are a little less subtle, a little more concrete. The world of 6 laws has the conscious qualities of unconditional love, courage, compassion, willpower. These are not earthly or terrestrial characteristics that are visible in our personality. These are divine qualities of consciousness deep within us, but that we are ignorant of, that we generally cannot access. As these laws create, things are becoming more complex. The absolute, the unity, condensed into the law of 3. That condensed further to become another expression of 3, resulting in 6 laws, like a prism modifying light. The light that is flowing through this is the light of the absolute, the being, divinity. As that light flows into more dense levels, it becomes these characteristics. The 1, the unity, is divine love. The 3 is freedom, understanding, and wisdom. The 6 relates to unconditional love, courage, compassion, willpower. Do you see yourself here? No, we do not. This is within us, but we do not live it, because our consciousness is conditioned too deeply. That light condenses more. Within the space of the first law of 3 arose another law of 3, resulting in 6 laws. Now, within that world of 6 laws, another law of 3 creates, resulting in a world of 12 laws. Now we have more laws at work. This level is more condensed, more complicated. The light is becoming more particularized. In the world of 12 laws, the light has the conscious quality of humility. The very broad, abstract qualities of the higher levels are starting to become more particularized. At this level, there are more laws, so things are more complex. The law of 3 creates again. And since it is within the world of 12 laws, this new creation is within all the regions that give it existence, resulting in 24 laws. As we descend into more complicated regions, things become denser, more complex, less simple. The conscious quality of this level is honesty. Once again, a new law of 3 creates, resulting in the level of 48 laws. We usually associate this level with the physical world and our physical body, and that is true. But today we are looking at the psychological aspect. In this case, the level of 48 laws relates to the conscious quality of non-attachment. So now we have outlined a series of conscious qualities related to the higher levels of being. We do not see these qualities very often in our lives or in our world. There are people whose level of being corresponds to these levels. There are people whose level of being corresponds to the world of 48 laws. They are rare, and we likely do not know any. Such people do not have pride, anger, envy, or lust, so they belong to a different level than us. There are people whose level of being corresponds to the world of 24 laws. These people have their consciousness awakened in the astral world. They have a solar astral body. Their residence is in the astral world. They might have a physical body, but their center of gravity, their home, is in the world of 24 laws. There are people whose level of being corresponds to the world of 12 laws. These people have their consciousness awakened in the mental world. They have a solar mental body. Their residence is in the mental world. They might have a physical body, but their center of gravity, their home, is in the world of 12 laws. There are people whose level of being corresponds to the world of 6 laws. These people have their consciousness awakened in the causal world. They have a solar causal body. Now, just because these people have solar bodies, this does not mean they are pure. There are pure beings with solar bodies who reside in those levels. There are also beings with solar bodies who still have defects, imperfections, so they are split. Part of them is trapped in the laws below. Most of us are just average people, with our consciousness trapped in the more complex layers of nature. We have the virtues of pure consciousness within us, but they are trapped. The qualities of the superior levels of being are freedom, understanding, wisdom, unconditional love, courage, compassion, willpower, humility, honesty, non-attachment. When humanity was simple, pure, these were the only qualities we knew. You can still see the pure qualities in the eyes of a baby. You can see their purity, innocence, and sweetness. They are simple and give so much light. That is because the consciousness of a newborn baby conveys our true nature. Every one of us has that inside, but in us it is conditioned, trapped, and almost impossible to see now. We love to think we have all these beautiful qualities in our daily life, but we don't. We have all these qualities, but we don't get to use them much. We don't have much experience with them because we've made a lot of mistakes. The level of 48 laws is related to physicality, especially to our brain and our physical senses. Here, in our bodies, our awareness is conditioned by our brain and senses. We perceive through them, meaning our perceptions are modified by the 48 laws. Remember, the 48 laws are not individual laws, rules that you could write out in a list, or laws of nature like gravity or magnetism or electricity. The 48 laws are simply the law of 3 layered. The level of 48 laws is just a crystallization resulting from layers of sets of laws of 3, like a beautiful fabric woven together. The result is what we perceive physically through our senses and interpret through our body. We perceive the world of 48 laws because of our physical body and being in the physical world. So some people assume that means our level of being is related to the world of 48 laws. In ancient times, humanity had the level of being at the level of 48 laws, but we lost that. We lost it because the quality of psyche that relates to that world is non-attachment. We don't have that. We developed attachment. We developed lust. We developed craving. We developed desire. Through our willpower, we used that law of 3 through our body, senses, and mind, and we created attachment, lust, desire, craving. Since those qualities do not belong in the pure realms, we created more complication. The world of 48 laws created another world. The law of 3, creating within the 48 laws, results in a world of 96 laws. Our physical body is still in the world of 48 laws. Our mind is not. You may still find a few places in the world where the physical environment still has the quality of 48 laws. Those are places where life is very simple. Life is not complicated. Generally, we only find this in very remote places, like rural places where there aren't a lot of people, remote villages or farms where life is very simple, where time doesn't pressure them the way it does in the cities. When you go into the cities or places where there are a lot of people, things are very complex. There are so many rules and regulations and laws and behaviors that are expected of us. That is created by the collective psychology of the people in those places. The collective psyche of the people in those places is in the lower worlds. There are places on this planet that are so incredibly complicated, violent, and dangerous. People are under threat from moment to moment, not knowing if they're going to stay alive for another few minutes. And if they say just the wrong thing, they'll be shot or put in prison, tortured. This quality of environment is spreading worldwide. Such places are worse than the level of 96 laws. These laws proceed in this way, in their further complication. 96 becomes 192, 288, 384, 480, 576, 672, 768, 864. In other words, the 96 multiplies double 9 times. This list of numbers illustrates mathematically how the law of 3 becomes increasingly complex as the light flows through our mind. 1 becomes 3 laws, which becomes 6, then 12, then 24, then 48. Then, because we are asleep and fascinated by illusory desires, our psyche rapidly modifies that light into 96 laws, doubling 9 times to reach the lowest region of creation, the world of 864 laws. This is the 9th sphere of the inferior worlds, the densest and most complicated region of nature, and the place where the suffering is the worst. It is a level of unimaginable pain, and we have it within us. Some parts of our consciousness are trapped there. There are places in the physical world that correspond to these very low levels, places where the suffering is unimaginable. Such places exist, but we prefer not to know about it. What creates those levels of density is our mind, our quality of mind. When we are identified with lust, desire, craving, our consciousness is bound by 96 laws, and that is our level of being. When we are identified with lies, anarchy, violence, our consciousness is bound by 192 laws, and that is our level of being. Lies relate to any untruth, any illusion or deception. Anarchy relates to any lack of order or law. Violence relates to any form of cruelty or harm, whether to oneself or others. When we are identified with gluttony, pride, our consciousness is bound by 288 laws, and that is our level of being. Gluttony is a lack of self-control, unrestrained desire of any kind. Pride is self-love, self-hate, self-obsession. When we are identified with greed, egotism, our consciousness is bound by 384 laws, and that is our level of being. Greed indicates wastefulness, whether by squandering or hoarding, selfishness, possessiveness, whether of objects, energy, attention, etc. Egotism is our sense of self, me, myself, and all the lies that support it. When we are identified with anger, tyranny, our consciousness is bound by 480 laws, and that is our level of being. Anger is resentment, frustration, hate. Tyranny is the attempt to control the will of anyone else. When we are identified with fanaticism, skepticism, our consciousness is bound by 576 laws, and that is our level of being. Fanaticism is any narrow point of view, especially theories and ideas. Skepticism mocks purity, chastity, divinity, religion, spirituality. When we are identified with violence against nature, our consciousness is bound by 672 laws. Violence against nature is harmful actions against our Divine Mother. When we are identified with blind faith, our consciousness is bound by 768 laws, and that is our level of being. Blind faith is related to the confidence we have in desire and our false sense of self, how we worship our ego, our Pharisee I. When we are identified with treason, our consciousness is bound by 864 laws, and that is our level of being. Treason is how we betray our true nature, our being, by acting on our self-will rather than the will of our being. This is how you can evaluate your level of being and thereby your quality of life. When we talk about level of being, we're talking about a quality of existence, how someone lives, how they experience being alive. All of us experience our moment-to-moment existence not according to our physical circumstances, but according to our psychological circumstances. Our quality of mind is our quality of being. Our psychological condition is our level of being. Furthermore, our psychological qualities determine our experience of life. An arrogant person has a quality of life that results from their arrogance. A lustful person has a quality of life that results from their lust. A patient person, a loving person, has a corresponding quality of life. If we are suffering, it is because of our level of being. When we have a life that is extremely rigid, with no freedom of movement, but every day we are forced to work to earn a little money, to pay the bills, to fulfill our responsibilities, and to chase after our desires, that is all a result of our level of being. From day to day, most people are like a hamster in a wheel, repeating the same behaviors every day, over and over and over. Their level of being is very low because their life is ruled by many laws that repeat. They have no freedom of movement, no freedom of thought, no freedom to change their circumstances. They are restricted, bound. If they want to change their circumstances, they need to change their level of being. Changing jobs or moving to a new country will not change their level of being. They will continue to attract the same circumstances, the same sufferings, no matter where they go. Society is degenerating, which is rapidly accelerating the multiplication of the laws of three. Nowadays, you must agree with the herd. The herd says, we love these types of behaviors. We love it when you are sarcastic and cruel. So you must become sarcastic and cruel. You must mock people, talk bad about them, gossip, tell jokes, especially people who don't share our beliefs. We demonize others who disagree with us. That is not the behavior of a being with free will. That is not the behavior of an angel or a Buddha or someone who has freedom of movement psychologically and physically. It is the behavior of someone who's in a cage or a prison, who, in order to survive that prison, must do what the other prisoners are doing, or they will be beaten or killed. Society is a prison filled with insane prisoners. If we want to escape the prison and reach a higher level of being, we need to change. What are the qualities of modern society? The most obvious is attachment, which corresponds to the world of 48 laws. Society loves attachment, possession, acquisition, gain, wealth, materialism, etc. Of course, the Buddha said, this is the cause of suffering. From attachment, desire, all of the qualities of our daily life emerge: lies and anarchy, gluttony and pride, greed and egotism, anger, tyranny, fanaticism. These are the qualities that we live with daily, psychologically and physically. These are the qualities that our society is most recognized by. We do not live in a world of harmony and peace, a world that loves truth and that wants to ascend to a superior way of being. Our society loves possessions, violence, cruelty, and degeneration, and celebrates it in every possible way, and encourages it in every possible way. And, if you don't go along with it, will make you suffer. The most important thing is for us to recognize this in our daily experience. When we are suffering, in pain, when our mind is racing in circles, angry, discontented, we should stop to question that psychological environment and consider, what is my level of being right now? We never realize that we choose our level of being. If we were to take a moment when angry and recognize that anger as a very narrow way of seeing things, very selfish, violent, and blind, anger wants to inflict pain, and that's it. It is very restricted and very far from divinity, and if we act on it, we make it stronger. All of these qualities are like that. We have them all, and the problem is that we're not really aware of it. These low levels, these low qualities are inside of us, but they're in deep layers in our mind, and we are unaware of them until some circumstance or another pokes it enough that we feel a little tingle from it, a little presence of it. But most of the time, we're not really aware of them because our consciousness is asleep. Only when somebody says something to us that provokes it, or a situation arises that provokes it, that one of these qualities maybe appears a little bit and we get a glimpse, but we generally avoid seeing it, or we justify it. We say, oh, no, I'm a spiritual person. We lie to ourselves. That's because many of these qualities are subconscious. Sub means below, underneath. In other words, they influence us from below our awareness. We also have qualities that are unconscious, meaning without consciousness. It means that sometimes we act on them and don't realize that is what is motivating us. For example, gluttony is the longing for more, to consume. It's unrestrained desire. And this is not just about food. It's a craving to have more of something. Those who constantly shop, buy things, those who constantly look for attention, are gluttons. Some of us have a personality that's entirely organized around making sure somebody is paying attention to us. That person is a glutton for attention. But they are unconscious of that. We also have infraconscious qualities that are so deep we would never accept that we have it. We would never believe it. Every day we hear stories now of people killing each other, taking a gun to kill a bunch of other people. And everyone always says, we never expected this person to do that. How do these cases happen? Because all of us have infraconscious defects capable of mass murder, qualities of anger, pride, and extreme violence. All it takes is a crack in our personality, just the right circumstances for part of our psyche to break, so these submerged qualities come out and take over, and cause us to behave in ways that are reprehensible. Afterwards, the perpetrators often say, "It wasn't me, I wasn't myself, I just snapped." It was them. They just didn't know it. Right now, there are hundreds of thousands of young men committing acts of violence that they never would have believed they were capable of. That's because there's a war happening. People are being killed as we speak. And in other places in the world where violence is happening, carried out by people who never would have accepted they were capable of it, but were put in just the right circumstances with just the right pressures, and they became mass murderers. All of us have the potential to become tyrants and cruel, terrible, because we have all of these qualities in our mind. Our level of being is very low. The purpose of the book that we're discussing today is to give us the tools to change it. The Treatise of Revolutionary Psychology provides us very powerful tools. The first step is to recognize the truth of our situation. We need to learn self-observation. We need to learn to observe our mind, to observe the qualities that are percolating under the surface within us. If you observe the types of thoughts, feelings, and impulses that are flowing through you all the time, you'll start to see some things that are really weird. If you observe the voices that you hear when you're falling asleep, you will start to hear those voices that are not your voice, saying things and talking and having conversations. Those are in your mind. When you perceive a thought, let's say, for example, you feel really disappointed in someone, even angry, and there is a thought there, even if it's just a flash or an impulse, quick, to hurt them. This impulse to hit them or to hurt them, you might stop it, but that impulse is proof that you have elements of violence in your mind. And maybe in that moment you were able to restrain it, but there may come a day where you cannot. None of us want to hurt the people we love. None of us really want to hurt anyone until anger takes over. The only way to prevent it from happening is to eliminate that anger completely. And you can only do that by observing yourself. So observing ourselves is the most important tool that we need to learn. To begin these studies, learn how to observe, how to see the facts and not run away from them, but observe them and understand them. Then we need to study those facts in a deeper way. For this, we need to withdraw from the conditioning of as many laws as possible. That is why we learn meditation. Real meditation is conscious perception of the truth. To have this kind of perception, to see what is real and not what appears to be real, we need to extract the consciousness from all conditioning. In other words, we need to withdraw the consciousness from as many laws as possible. Our consciousness comes from our inner being, which is one law. Right now, our consciousness is trapped in the physical body, which is 48 laws, and our psychological cage, which is in layers from 96 to 864 laws. That is a lot of conditioning. To meditate, we need to extract the consciousness from as much of that as possible. This man that we call the Buddha recognized these things about himself. He recognized that people were suffering, and he wanted to change it. He did not go out into the world and start telling people what to do. Instead, he walked away from everything. He renounced everything and began to meditate. The world of 48 laws has the quality of non-attachment. That's where he began. Renunciation. He renounced all attachment. He withdrew within himself and began to observe. That is why we teach meditation the way that we do. We tell you to adopt your position and relax. We're really telling you to renounce or let go of your body. Don't be attached to it. Let go of thoughts. Don't be attached. Let go of emotions. Let them all go. Leave them alone. Let them rest. This is non-attachment, renunciation. We want to extract the consciousness from its cage. Visualize all of those laws from 1 to 864. When you sit to meditate, you have all of that within you, but you are unaware of it. Your physical senses only perceive a very narrow range of sensations, and your capacity to observe thought and emotion only perceives a very narrow range of thoughts and emotions. The vast majority of what exists within us is imperceptible to us. If you learn to meditate, you can learn to perceive them all. The way to do that is to become still. If this is a map of our mind, and when we sit to meditate, we don't see anything, we just feel tension, racing thoughts, surging feelings, darkness, that's our level of being. That is our experience of being. That is what we are experiencing of life, and that is not very high. Consider this when you meditate next. Observe your state of being and compare it with the laws you have studied here. Where is your state of consciousness on this list of laws? What qualities of consciousness are you observing in yourself? Sometimes it's hard to tell, right? That's a problem. We suggest that you start with your body, the world of 48 laws. You can observe that and verify it. The quality of that level is non-attachment. So begin by experiencing that quality, evoking it in the present moment. What is non-attachment? It is to leave things as they are, to not desire to own them or change them, but instead to disassociate from them. Place your body in its position, relax. Do not move. Make everything still with deep relaxation. Your aim is to become one, the unity, the law from which all of this emerges. But if you're sitting there and you're just feeling angry, frustrated, I can't meditate, this is ridiculous, this is a waste of time. That's anger, desire. You can't meditate because you are trapped by that frustration. That desire to meditate has nothing to do with real meditation. It is the obstacle. Desire, frustration, anger are qualities of the level of 480 laws. So you're trapped there. So first, you need to deal with that. Observe it and relax. Let it go. Accept things as they are and just withdraw into being aware. What if you are a fanatic about spirituality or this type of study? You've adopted some psychological or spiritual theory or belief, and it totally limits your way of seeing. So you think, no, this way of meditation is wrong. The way I know is better, my way. The way I learned from so-and-so. That way is good. Nothing else works. That person's mind is completely conditioned into a narrow view in the world of 576 laws. They can't see anything but their own view. They are trapped in a lower level of being. They will only reach a higher level by opening their awareness to seeing new things, by first seeing and understanding the cage that they are trapped in. The same is true of a skeptic, someone who doesn't believe any of this is real. They believe spirituality is just nonsense that someone invented. They don't believe anything except themselves. They've conditioned themselves into the world of 576 laws. They've built themselves a little cage, and that is their level of being. A skeptic full of doubt and pain. They can't see anything new. So when you sit to meditate or when you're trying to observe yourself through the course of the day, this is what you want to look at. Why are you not accessing the higher qualities of being? Why are you not accessing the world of 12 laws or 6 laws? Why are you not accessing the world of the absolute, the state of unity? It is because your consciousness is conditioned in some lower level of being. Any one of us can escape conditioning and experience the superior levels of being because they are inside of us. And the way to do it is simple. Renounce. Don't be attached. Relax, observe, let go. Don't think, don't believe. Just be. Be pure awareness, nothing else. No mind, no thought, no emotion, no identity, no name. Become being. That's it. When we relax the body and let it become still, we stop focusing attention on it. We withdraw attention from it. Eventually, the consciousness will leave it. We will rise out. The same is true of all the other conditions. If we leave them alone, observing but not engaging, eventually everything settles and becomes still, and our consciousness rises out of them. But this is not possible if we are impatient or become involved with the images, thoughts, memories, sensations. It is also not possible if we do not see that which binds us. Ignoring our condition is the same as ignoring the chains that tie us down. What keeps us trapped is our will. Attention is will. Learning to control attention with willpower, you can change your level of being. If you want to experience a superior level of being, it's up to you. You can do that. To learn meditation, do not try to make meditation happen. Meditation will happen on its own the instant the conditions allow it. So, observe what is preventing it from happening. Attachment, desire, frustration, fear, pride. Observe and withdraw. Recognize what is preventing you from feeling freedom and peace. Peace only exists in superior levels of being. The higher you go into the superior worlds, the more peace you will find. We don't have peace because our consciousness is trapped in all of these inferior qualities. We don't have serenity. We have pain, conflict. This is why meditation is so important. Real meditation has nothing to do with beliefs, theories. It has everything to do with paying attention inside, and each thought that emerges, each impulse, each emotion, memory, image, we observe that, we are aware of that, and we let it go. We have to see it, we have to recognize it, but not be attached to it. We need to be honest, humble. You see, within us, all of us, we have that state of unity, the law of one. Our awareness is rooted in it. The method to meditate is to simply become that pure awareness without any conditioning. If you want to experience the absolute, you can do it. Simply let go of everything that is not that. You can learn to do this in meditation, to experience any of these superior levels of being, to experience even the absolute. However, that experience is not liberation from suffering. After that experience, your consciousness will go right back to its cage because you made it. Permanent liberation is only possible when all of the cages within us are destroyed. The only way to destroy them is to see them first and to understand them. For that, we need to study ourselves. No matter what you're experiencing, whether physically or internally, always be expanding your awareness. Even if what you are perceiving seems vague or uncertain or uncomfortable or painful, don't avoid it. Don't turn away from it. Look at it and understand. Everything that happens in you is part of you. It may not seem like it. You may see thoughts and voices and images that seem to have no purpose and that aren't related to anything, but they are in you. If your mind was already at a superior level of being, it would be empty, quiet. You would not have constant inner chatter, so many desires, thoughts, voices. You wouldn't have those memories and weird scenes and dramas and tragedies that are playing out in your dreams all the time. And if you do not remember any dreams at all, your level of being is also very low. You are asleep. When we start to raise our awareness, we also start to remember our dreams, until eventually our memory of dreams is as full and complete as our memory of our daily life. Then, as we expand and strengthen awareness more and liberate ourselves more from the lower laws, we stop dreaming completely. It doesn't mean when such a person lays down to sleep that they completely lose awareness of themselves for hours. No. It means they lay down to sleep. They go out of their body, and they are active out of their body the same way we are physically. But in the world of 24 laws, or 12, or 6, they are active, awake, aware, directing themselves by will, doing what they need to do. And then in the morning when they need to wake up, they go back to their body and wake up physically. That is the level of being of someone who is awakening, who is truly spiritual. Don't lie to yourself and think that you are at that level. They go out of their body at will and traverse those regions at will and do the work that they need to do there and then come back into the body and continue here. If you can't do that, you're not at that level of being. Humanity is asleep, and our level of being is very low, marked by pride, laziness, lust, and attachment to illusory things. From moment to moment, our level of being drifts from craving something to feeling proud of ourselves for something, then from resentment to the urge to control someone else. Thus, in those moments, our level of being drifted from 96 laws to 288, then to 480. We are deeply conditioned. That is why we suffer and remain in ignorance. If you want to change it, start paying attention.